So, welcome, Stuart Hogg. We are extremely lucky to have you here. Obviously, Mr. Gillis. I'll be doing this on behalf of the High School of Glasgow, where I'm head of rugby, and we're trying to get out some interesting content for the kids. And there is nothing more interesting than getting an interview with Stuart Hogg, officially the best fullback in the world due to Rugby Passes poll. Just picked Damien McKenzie. Is that right?
So I'm to believe, but I think the more pleasing thing was was reading through the comments and everybody's opinions on it. So it was quite amusing. But look, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Definitely. Right. So I've sent you some questions, but as I just explained, we'll use them very, very loosely, and then we will finish with the Stuart Hogg quiz, and then we will finish with a general knowledge quiz to see where you're at with your general knowledge in sports. Okay, so firstly, as I said to you, as I sent an email, your school life. So just talk about, obviously, you went to the OC of Scotland, Hoyt High. How was your school experience? What were your PE teachers like? Just kind of freely talk about that, if you would, Stuart.
Yeah, I was brought up in Hoyt, as you say. I went to Hoyt High School. I left after potentially, I think it was fourth year. I wasn't really, it was one of my biggest regrets actually. I wasn't really fully focused on what I was doing in my schoolwork. As I say, I do regret it, but I really enjoyed it. I was a big fan of different subjects. I really enjoyed biology. I like German, although I know zero German words now. But obviously, my biggest strength and the subject that I really enjoyed was PE. And you know, we'd get that 2 or 3 times a week, and I absolutely loved it. That's when I really.
What were you good at? Except for rugby, what were you good at?
I tried all the different sports, as you can imagine. Like, as a kid growing up, you don't really focus on one sport. And I think it was whatever kind of sport was on the telly at the time. So if it was like the Open or whatever, we'd be out scalping golf balls around, or you know, if it's Wimbledon, we're out playing tennis or whatever. Six Nations, obviously, we were into rugby, but I tried loads of different sports. I played football for many years, and started off as a striker. Realised I couldn't score goals. Moved back to the midfield to try and, you know, pull the strings. Realised I couldn't do that either, so I was put back in defence. Something that I'm not well renowned for now, but I was actually not a bad defender.
But that's a great point, Stuart. That's Hoggy. It's that, because you only specialised very late, didn't you? You, as you talk about, you played a lot of sports, but you had a hobby that's probably more specific to people in Hoyt, but you had a real driving passion when you were younger. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I was brought up in Hoyt, it was either rugby, football, or horse riding. And obviously, there's a few horse racing trainers around the place. You know, I've got a horse now with Alistair Willens, but when I was still in school at the weekends, I would ride out for Donald Willens at the bottom end of the town, and absolutely loved it. You know, a couple of my good mates were there, Cam and Gary Willens, Donald's son, and another couple of my mates were there, and absolutely loved it. And I was actually, you know, trying to become a professional jockey, and I remember leaving primary school and writing in my yearbook that I was going to become a professional rugby player. And then at the last minute, I changed it to becoming a professional jockey. So yeah, I was riding out there until probably I was around about 16, and only kind of really stopped when I was getting signed in the academy. Probably for the best. There was a severe lack of ability and a little bit of a podgy tummy that was coming on myself.
You might have struggled to make weight, Hoggy. You might have struggled with a bit of weight.
I know. Well, you remember me in the first year of the academy, Nick. I was absolutely tiny.
Exactly.
And if it wasn't for the kind of knee injuries that I had in the first kind of 6 months, I'd have probably been around that similar weight. But I'm still.
When I first met you, Hoggy, you were 40% hair. When I first met you, 40% of your body weight was your hair.
I know, man. I know. The terrible leg.
You talked about it a bit there, is golf. Now, I obviously have played golf quite a lot with you, not in the last couple of years, but it's something that you are pretty good at. Are you still playing as much as you would like? Are you still enjoying it? How do you use golf? Do you use it for more competitive stuff, or do you use it as a kind of release? What do you use it for?
Yeah, it's more just for a an escape. I really enjoy being out in open doors, and a few of the boys at the club are good golfers. Obviously when I was at Glasgow, there was a few good golfers, as you say. We used to play a fair bit on our days off. And it's the exact same down here at Exeter. There's a few boys that have a keen interest in playing. So, we've played a few times. Obviously, it's kind of difficult over the kind of winter months to get out. Some of the courses closing, or the weather not being ideal. We're kind of fair weather golfers, but and I do enjoy playing it. Obviously, it's more a bit of fun. There is a little competitive edge when there's a four ball, and you're playing with a teammate. It's often we play for coffees or we play for lunch. So there is that element of competition in it, and it just keeps it a bit friendly fire and a bit fun. But it's something that I want to. I'm playing off 12 just now. Lowest I got to was 10.6, so that's classed as 11. But I like to say the 10.6 because it sounds lower. But then it's something that I do enjoy, and something that I'll probably have a lot more time for when I finish playing. But hopefully that's a long way away. Yeah.
Well, according to your Wikipedia page, if that is your true age, which I do not believe, then you've still got a wee bit longer left as well. But so sporting heroes when you were growing up. I know your family quite well, so I know your relationship with your father, and he was obviously a big inspiration on you. Your brother as well, I'm sure quite a lot of people will know, but maybe not everybody does know. Graham, your big brother, he was kind of paved the way for you, but he was the first Hogg. I remember they used to shout high ball Hogg when he was on, because he boot it in the air, run, catch it and score. He played Scotland Sevens. He was a professional rugby player. Slightly different career path with you. He suffered a lot with injuries, but who were your sporting heroes when you were growing up, and what kind of impacts did they have on your life?
I think you look at, first and foremost, my family. Obviously, with my brother being 5 years older than me, like, he was kind of doing all the kind of age grade stuff, and getting to travel around Scotland firstly, but then around Britain and around the world eventually. So I used to watch him all the time. Obviously with my parents, we used to follow him here, there and everywhere, and Graham was the one that kind of, as I say, like, I wanted to try and be like him. I wanted to try and follow in his footsteps. And the kind of only negative thing that's happened in my career actually was Graham got a couple of bad injuries, as you touched on, and he got his exit medical in 2009 from the academy. I was next in to get my entry medical, which was a kind of bittersweet moment for the family. Obviously, they were delighted to have me going into a professional environment, but obviously devastated for Graham, who really put a lot of hard work and effort. And when I was kind of around about that age, I didn't really have the ambition to become a professional rugby player. I was, kind of focused on other things. But it was only really when I got picked for the Scotland under-17s that I started to take it a lot more serious. But Graham was everything for him was rugby, and his goal was to become a professional rugby player, and to get so close to have it snapped away, obviously it was disappointing for him. I think the other two, being my parents, as I say, they sacrificed a hell of a lot to get me where I am today. They used to travel around the world, take me here, there and everywhere. They've been my number one supporters. So I always look back at the things that I've done, and I try to take my parents and my brother along the journey that I'm living with. So when everybody says sporting heroes, yes, I did have big sporting heroes like Brian O'Driscoll, Chris Patterson, AP McCoy, but I think the people that I have the most amount of time for and love the most are my family.
Yeah, and I think I can sincerely back that up. So I can sincerely back up. That's kind of why I mentioned your family. There's a very close relationship there. And so you talked about the exit medical when your brother was leaving, and the entry medical is that the point you thought, I'm going to become a professional rugby player? Or even then were you like, I'm still not sure, I'll dip my toe in the water? Or were you like, right, okay, Graham's on the way out, I need to really take this on now?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of big moments. Obviously, I think it was the April time that I played for Scotland under-17s in 2009, and I was kind of told then off the coach that there was a chance I'd be going into the academy that summer. So that's when I thought, oh, here we go. Like, this is me now. I want to try and make the most of it. And we spent the year in Edinburgh, 2009 season. We played Heriots. And then the year after, the academy all kind of changed. Obviously, we were based at Murrayfield every single day, and the following season it was you're sent to Glasgow, you're sent to Edinburgh, or you're sent packing out the door. So I remember living with the three Hoyt boys in Edinburgh, thinking this is brilliant. I thought, yes, we'll get a contract at Edinburgh and we'll see how it goes. 2 out of 3 got contracts at Edinburgh. My brother was obviously back down the road, and I got sent to Glasgow on my own. And that was the kind of time thinking, oh well, I'm going to an actual professional side now. This would be quite good. 2 weeks into it, I was ready to jack it in. I didn't enjoy it at all. I felt like I was a million miles away from home. I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't settling. And I remember after 2 weeks phoning my dad saying, this is too much for me now. I think I'm going to come back and ride out horses again. And I remember texting my old boss asking if I could have my job back. Wow. But then we had a few dark conversations over the weekend, and I sat in tears in front of the academy manager, just saying this wasn't for me. And he was like, "Look, this is a huge opportunity. Like, don't let this one slip by." And I thought I'll give it another couple of weeks. And after that, I started to find my feet and started enjoying it, and got to know the boys a lot better. And thankfully, I didn't jack it in and go home.
How life could have been, Huggy. How life could have been.
Mate, but I think it was potentially the year after that when I moved in with you, though, wasn't it? It was you, Alex Dunbar, and Henry Pyrgos. That's when I was playing, every week, and really felt as part of the squad that everything changed that year. And if I was living on my own again, how things would have been different. So it's kind of yourself and Alex and Henry that kind of dragged me through it, along with Mike Cusack and obviously Rory Pittman as well, the good times that we had. So,
I mean, you're right though, because we were so lucky to have that camaraderie where we lived together, and we could do whatever we want. It was a Tuesday night with no training. Let's get out, go and play some golf. Let's go to the cinema. Let's do. Yeah. We had a really good life. But I remember the first year when you broke in, and you must have been 18. I can't remember when you got your first game for Glasgow. Yeah. You went from being an academy player to an international player, all within the space of a year. And I think that year you might have signed 4 different contracts, because every team in the world were trying to sign you. You went from academy on 0 money to, we better give him a pro contract, to, oh dear, we better give him another pro contract. Oh dear, we better give him a really 10-year contract for loads money.
If only that was true. I think what it was remember I had to get the 6 games. I was in my second year of academy, and to get 6 games before Christmas, remember. And Bernie had just retired that summer, and then Murchie run into the iron shoulder against Newcastle. Yeah. Remember that in the warm-up games? And you were telling him to avoid the iron shoulder, wasn't it?
Brenton Lure, killer.
Yeah, so then Murchie got wiped, and then I got a chance to play. I played the first 5 games, and then Murchie came back for the 6th game. Now, here we go again. And then he asked to tackle me in the warm-up, and I put a little shoulder in. Never been able to do it in my life, but put a little shoulder in and ruined his shoulder again. So I got my 6 games, and then so my contract was going to be changing in the January. And then because I'd played pretty much every single game then, they gave me a different deal. And then it was a 3-year deal on top of that. So that's when you say I signed about 4 or 5 different contracts. It was 1.
I'm sure Toulouse came in that year as well, and you asked to stick another 1 and 2 zeros in front of the.
Oh, come on, man. That's a rumour start. That's a rumour.
So, right, we've got a bit of a sense of your kind of growing up and your background now. If you were to give advice to a young, aspiring professional rugby player now, what would your kind of biggest pieces of advice? If you were to speak to Luke Armstrong or Graham or one of the first 15 at my school today, what would be your biggest piece of advice for them?
My biggest thing that I've learned through time is when you're 17, 18, 19, you think you know it all, and you're invincible. But the biggest thing I've learned, and I still continue to do so, is that you're never the complete rugby player. You've always got more to learn. You've always got more to give. No matter how talented you are, if you don't work hard, you're not going to fulfill that talent. And that's, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're willing to sacrifice a lot and do everything you possibly can to achieve your goals, you'll eventually get there. And if you don't, you can say, well, at least I've given absolutely everything to get there. Like I'll often get asked, and I always say, like I'm always wanting to learn and to better myself. That's one of the main reasons I came down to Exeter, was to challenge myself and try and get more out of myself. And everybody's thinking, well, you've got X, Y, and Z in terms of caps and tours, etc. That's all in the past. I'm very much in control of what happens in the future, and I want to get better. I want to challenge myself. I want to drag my teammates alongside me. I want them to drag me with them. And when you're involved in a professional environment as good as Exeter Chiefs, you come in, you work incredibly hard, and you get the best out of yourself. When I get to the end of my career, I want to look back and say, by heck, I gave it absolutely everything, as opposed to sitting back and going, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. And that all just comes back down to learning, improving, and wanting to get the best out of yourself. That's
a great answer, Hoggy. You're definitely maturing into a fine young man.